Hello and welcome back to another episode of Shine the Fine Arts. Today I'm working on a watercolor painting, and what I am doing is painting a universe and trying to merge it with the face of a woman. It's kind of a thought about how nature is represented as a woman and how nature is imbibed within a woman. So that was my basic thought behind this painting. So instead of reaching out to my first love, which is oil paints, I am reaching out to a lot of different mediums, and for this one I chose watercolors. Now, I cannot say that I'm new to watercolors. I have done years and years of watercolors, but of late, in the last 1 or 2 years, I haven't done as much watercolor as I have done oil painting. So obviously what happens is that when you keep doing one thing more than the other, your skills obviously improve in the other which you do more. So my skills in oil painting has improved a lot. My skills in watercolor has more or less stayed at a certain place. So now I am back to watercolors. Not that I'm stopping oils, but I am going to more frequently do watercolors so that my skills are up to the mark in watercolors as well. So that's why I'm doing more of watercolors these days. So as I am trying harder and to get better in watercolors, I thought I'll share some of the very basic learnings with watercolors with you. So if you are wanting to start off with watercolors, these are the first 5 things you need to know. So tip 1 is the art of really light. With watercolors, you have to go from light to dark, and the reverse is almost impossible. So when you're starting off, go as light as possible in the initial layers and slowly build up the darkness in the later layers. So, and that kind of gradually gets into my second tip, which is if you want really dark layers, you have to go for multiple layers. Due to the transparent nature of watercolors, to get really dark areas, you would often have to build it in multiple layers and then let the paint dry in between layers to avoid lifting any wet pigment. Also, you have to be very careful that when you are adding in the additional layers, you cannot scrub with your brush too hard on the already existing layers, because watercolors will be reactivated if you scrub really hard or glaze push in your brush too much, and your previous layers will be lost and it will just not work out. So multiple layers for darkness, yes, but be very careful not to put in too much pressure to save your initial layers. So on to my tip 3. For the brightest highlights, you can try leaving off some white of the paper to show through, which is generally not the case in most medium. We do not let white of the paper show through, but in case of watercolor, that might be sometimes the best way to depict highlights. Alternately, you can use masking fluid also, but there are some highs and lows about masking fluid, which I will cover in a different video about masking fluid. So for the lightest areas and the highlights, let the white of the paper show through. And if you find it too hard, then probably masking it off with masking fluid is your choice. Tip 4 is divide and conquer. Divide the painting into smaller areas and tackle them one area at a time. That is so much important in watercolor, because as it is activated by water, it would dry fast. So you do not want the layers to dry on you. So take smaller areas, like say if you are drawing a face, you want to tackle the eye first or the mouth area first and go then the ear, and go area by area instead of trying to jump all around. You can tackle different areas of the painting all at once. However, each area has to be handled at one point of time and then move on to the next area over the painting. And then coming to the last and final tip, but never the least important, learn when to paint wet on wet and when to go for wet on dry. Sometimes it is advantageous to work wet on wet, like say if you're trying to build clouds, or if you're trying to do like I'm doing in this universe painting, if you're trying to build layers of different colors in the galaxy, where you do not want very harsh edges, it is advantageous to work wet on wet. However, say if you want crisp edges and line, then you have to work wet on dry, and especially like details and all that. So it is very advantageous to learn when to go wet on wet and when to go wet on dry. Know the difference and plan and go for whichever one works for whichever area. So that's the 5 tips I have that will get you on your best feet forward when you're starting off with watercolors. All the best. As usual, I'll put all the links to my social media presents in the video description, and I'll also put links to the all the materials that I've used in this painting. Let me know your thoughts in comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because that is the best way of keeping in touch and knowing what I am currently working on and what is coming up. So see you next time.